Hi guys, my name is Gannon and welcome to my YouTube channel where I help you with your LinkedIn content strategy. So this is my first video. I promise that the production quality is going to improve over time, things like the lighting, just use my phone to record. So I want to show you how you can create carousel documents for LinkedIn. This essentially involves making a PowerPoint, exporting it as a PDF and then uploading that file onto LinkedIn. Throughout the video, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comment section and I'll always get back to you. So my carousel was called 10 Ways to Get More Things Done, which is based on productivity. So basically I came across lots of different podcasts and books over time. I compiled a list of about 10 different tips and I thought this would be perfect for a carousel because it's a list of something. Chances are if I just use text, somebody wouldn't read all the way. You owe it to your audience to think of the best way to present to them your content. From this first slide, you get a lot more information than you would if you just saw text on a post and you scrolled through. At the very least, you're going to see orange and you're going to see my name, which is brilliant for personal branding. So I'm going to scroll through or click through the carousel to show you how it looks. Before I completely go into how to create this, we're just going to have an initial summary of what you can see. So you've got the main orange color here. So I've used a gradient. So you might notice that this side of the screen is a darker orange compared to this lighter side. Now this is really subtle, but using a gradient color can really stand out more and it can just look so much more aesthetic. It's got emojis, it's got arrows pointing people to slide or click onto the next slide. It's branded and it gets people's attention. This is my way of making a carousel document. I'm sure there's other ways as well, but I find this way pretty easy and it uses Keynote, the application on Mac. Or if not, if you haven't got Keynote, I'm sure you can do that on Microsoft PowerPoint, which hopefully we've all got access to. If not, I would use Google's equivalent, which is Google Slides to PowerPoint, which would be a free alternative. So to get the screen up, all I did was press new and I went on to a new slide, which was this one, which is a PowerPoint. And that was all I did. I just hit choose. So I open up another one here. So here we are. So we're going to go on to document. We're going to go down here to slide size. We're going to press custom slide size. And we're going to type in 1080 by 1080. I'm going to hit OK. So that's going to create for us the 1080 by 1080 square, which is the perfect dimensions for when you upload this document onto LinkedIn. Here's how you select text and you can put text onto your screen. Like I've just put that there. I click off that. You've also got different shapes which are going to be quite useful and handy. For example, the arrows you might have noticed on my carousel. Media, you can import photos, you can import images from an image gallery, you can import movies. If you've got a font, it's best to keep things consistent. So if you do have a font that you usually use, I would use that now. Equally, if you have a color which you usually use, for example, a specific blue, I would be using this in your document as well because with personal branding, you want to keep everything as consistent as possible. So the first thing you probably noticed on my carousel was the color. So we're going to go over to format. We're going to press color fill, which is already selected, and I'm going to select a color. So what you can do is you can use these different ways of viewing colors. So for example, you could use blue, you could use a pinky sort of color, you could use orange, or you can use red. I have an orange which I use across my personal branding, and if you have a color that you already have, you can put the hex color in here, which is your hashtag. You can use the gradient fill option. As you can see, it's all very simple. I'm going to just use something similar but with the orange that I've got. So I'm just going to put in the orange into the hex color. Now of course we want to use a different shade of orange, different to the one we've got. If we just use the same orange, it's just going to be block text. So I'm going to jump into here and I do have a secondary orange which I'm going to use, which is, there we go. So if we just click off of the colored dial, you can see that we've got the lighter orange at the top and we've got dark orange at the bottom. So I quite like having the lighter color in the top left hand corner as if you're turning a page. So we're going to just use the angle here, which you can reflect. I hope you can see that, which angle is the dark and what's the light. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the black text to white because the white is going to pop more and catch more attention. So it's the same thing. You can go through the color dials, you can select white, and then we're going to type in our title. So my title was 10 ways to get more things done. Now that font actually looks okay. I mean, I would actually recommend this font if you don't have a current font. So I've used PT Sans and I've gone for a bold font. You can use italics, for example. You might want to write get more, you might want to write have that in italics to make it pop. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my logo. So even if someone only saw the slide, if you've got a logo, then you know that your personal branding is working for you, because it's going to be memorable, especially if you've got the color. So to grab your logo, all you need to do, you need to go to media, you go to choose. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have my name on there, because if you're a business, you could have your business name, but for me, it's just going to be me. It's about personal branding. So I'm going to go onto text, and I'm going to have a text box down here, so Joe Gannon, and you can amend this as well, obviously. So you go over to text, you can change the color, and then I'm going to make sure that's the same font that I'm using across the board. So it's going to put PT Sans in there. Now, I think it's important to have an image. So you can really get creative with this. You can download image packs, or you can use images from the internet. For me, I wanted to use something which is universal, something that I could show you guys. So I just wanted to use emojis. So if you had emojis saved already, you could go onto media and you could hit choose. I'm going to just use text, and I'm actually going to go to the top of my screen. I'm going to press edit. I'm going to go into emoji and symbols. It's going to bring up all the emojis. Alternatively, if this doesn't work for you and if you're not using a Mac, you can use Emojipedia, which is an online resource. So this one looks good. Now if you double tap it, it's going to bring it up the settings for it here. I think it's going to need to be bigger than that. So a nice trick to get somebody to scroll is to kind of tease what's on the next page. So I'm going to, instead of having the image fully in view, which makes the slide look as kind of a standalone slide, I'm going to put the slide half across the screen. What I love about Keynote is you can actually see how much of the image is not on the screen, and this is really useful. I'm going to show you why in a second. So to add in an arrow, you're going to go to shapes and you're going to grab your arrow. So you could either use a thin arrow or you could use this kind of thick arrow. So I think it's good practice to have an arrow fully in view, and if you Command C and Command V to copy and paste, then I would just put this arrow slightly out of view and this one close to it. So as you can see, it's kind of encouraging you to swipe across. So if you're used to PowerPoint or used to using Keynote, you'll know from over here you can duplicate a slide. Now there's a great trick which I would recommend. So as I'm on the second slide, you can see how much of the image isn't being used. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it again. This is going to be perfectly in line. So what I would do, you want part of the image you can't see in the first slide, you want this to be visible in the second. So whilst keeping this image here so you know it's in line, you're going to drag this over until by eye, this part of the pen, which is not in view, is going to be visible here. And then if you delete this one, as you can see, the part of the pen which isn't in view is going to be in view here. So I'll move that along slightly. Now we're going to do the same for the arrow. So you can see here from the arrow, this part of the head of the arrow is invisible. We can move this arrow along to match it up, and then we can delete this one here. So as you will see, when we go onto play, it's going to carry over and swipe through. If we go onto the first slide, we can copy over the text box and it's going to remember where it was. Now this is 10 ways to get more things done, so I want to kind of count them through the 10 things and keep them engaged throughout. So my first way to get more things done was to prioritize. So I've made it slightly smaller just to visually fit on the screen better. No other features were changed. So you could have this slide going to the next slide at the bottom of the screen, and then when you flick through, the next emoji is going to be at the top. So the eyes are going to dart up and down as you go through the document, which is going to keep things fresh. So I'm going to put the pen there, and as I said, I'm going to have the arm there. And then to show you this one more time, we will duplicate this slide, delete this, copy this, and drag it through. And I've just continued with this theme by alternating emojis slightly out of view, and just duplicated this. As they neared towards the end, I wanted to reward them, so I used the green tick here, and on the last slide it's being 10 out of 10, yet it's still encouraging them to go on to the last slide with the arrows. Now the last slide is a brilliant chance to have a call to action. So if it's a business, if you've got a business, you should be having your logo here, you can have your slogan. If you've got a free training guide, a PDF, if you want them to check out your YouTube channel, I would recommend the information here, because if they've got to this slide, chances are they're invested, they believe in your message and they want to learn more. You need to export your file as a PDF. So we go to the top and we press File, we press Export to, we select PDF, leave the settings as they are, press Next and Export. So once you've exported your PDF, you just need to obviously upload it to LinkedIn. Press File here, which is selecting a document to upload. As you can see, this looks really good, so I can just flick through it just to see how everything looks. All looks good to me. And then you can add your document title. So mine's going to be 10 ways to be more productive. Now do keep this concise because this will be visible. I'll do a rocket just to get people's attention, and then press next. And once you've got your text, all you would do is you would press post. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every single week on my channel, I'm going to be posting videos on LinkedIn content strategy. So if you want tips, you want tricks, you want tutorials, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.